Like a bull at the gates, Bitcoin reclaims the range and strives toward our local highs. Our analyst team was clever enough to flip our positions last night, and in today's episode, we'll break down the price action that inspired the trade. Meanwhile, the latest VanEck report describes Bitcoin as being on the path to digital gold. 3 months until the halvening, and are we right in being overly macro bullish? Find out in today's episode of Breaking Bitcoin. Welcome to Breaking Bitcoin, recorded live in the studio. Today is Wednesday, February 5th, 2020. This is your daily source for market updates, sentiment, and news for traders. Hopefully you guys are doing fantastic today, wherever you happen to be tuning in from, whether that is YouTube, Twitch, DLive, Facebook Live, or on Roku with the Investor News Channel app. If you would like to support the stream and what we do every single day, make sure to follow us on social and subscribe here on YouTube. Thumbs ups are highly appreciated. We've got a fantastic show for you guys today. We're obviously going to be breaking down the explosive price action in the in the crypto markets today. Going to be taking a look at Tesla's swift fall from fame, because obviously that's hot in the news. Also be taking a look at our other markets as well. Today we're going to be talking about not specifically the halvening, but we're going to be specifically talking about what we've gleaned from the VanEck report insofar as Bitcoin moving toward this concept of being digital gold and being accepted by the wider investment community, which, again, we've known this for a long time. It's just good to see the confirmation that your traditional finance, that your traditional markets are beginning to believe and begin advertising and recommending that individuals allocate funds in their portfolio to Bitcoin. So we're going to cover that as well. We're also going to talk about a little bit about Bitcoin and BSV and what was Satoshi's true intentions with the original Bitcoin white paper. So there's a really good Twitter thread that we're going to go through, and we're going to break that all down as well. If you guys have any questions or chart requests, please put them in the live chat. The moderators will bring them to my attention. We'll cover those toward the end of the show. All right. We got a lot to talk about, guys. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you guys are doing well. It's like Wolf of Wall Street today. It's like Wolf of Wall Street up in the Kraken cryptocurrency community. So lucky to be here. Happy to be here to do the show, guys. Let's get started. Let's get right to the charts. All right. Here we are at the live scene. Bitcoin over here on the Coinbase chart, currently trading at about 95.97. And it's one of these days that really makes me very happy to be a systems trader. It makes me very happy to be a systems trader, right? As we talked about yesterday, we did close below the baseline yesterday, which sets us up. Again, we closed below the baseline, but we did not close and trigger at-risk shorts. We talked about that yesterday, and I still conveyed that I was still overall macro bullish, looking for price to fill lower. Now, I posted my analysis last night, did not take any at-risk short positions. I was in a short last night, had entered at 93.31. I talked about taking profit at 90.95, which I did do. I'd moved my stop loss to break even. And I took quite a bit of time last night doing a volume profile analysis, which I'll share a little bit with you guys. Posted that to the members last night and talked about my invalidation level. Kind of looked for the area where I was looking for the retest of previous demand turned into supply. And I cover this in the horizontal support and resistance seminar. And not something that forms a key part of my strategy. It's part of my discretionary rules-based system. However, with that system in play last night, and we'll get into this as we look at the charts. But when price came up and closed quite strongly on good volume, I mean, Bitcoin started running last night, and it was slightly before I went to bed. I consulted with my team, and we saw the invalidation signal. So we closed out of our shorts, and we did take the long. And waking up this morning to a fantastic trade in front of us. The team managed it slightly. My position as I was sleeping, I'm very grateful for them to do that. And we are still long on Bitcoin. Not only are we in a leveraged long, we're also unhedged as well. So fantastic decision from the team last night. I know the members are happy. We're quite happy. And we're going to break all that down. However, do not what's the word I'm looking for here? You do not need to be worried if you were not unable to catch the lower time frame price action last night that pushed price up to 9,600. We are going to be getting a very clear signal from the Breaking Bitcoin system right now today. As I said, looking at the charts, we never violated the uptrend. As you guys can see, the white crosses on my chart, we never violated the uptrend, and we are going to be now closing back above the baseline on a rising explosion level from Wadatar explosion. Minx, I assume, will also be crossing up to the upside and is pointed up above the zero line, so giving us something like a Fisher transform. We covered this in the Fisher transform seminar as well, looking for basically a top above zero, a top above zero continuation. We'll go look at Ethereum as well. I was looking for the actual recross of Minx on Ethereum, and that has occurred today. Bitcoin, not so much. However, in conjunction with the rising explosion level and the close back above the baseline, that is a good continuation system. So we'll be looking at those. Happy to report that TradingView, due to my incessant pestering, has fixed the issues with V4 line plotting. They're trying to pretend like there wasn't actually an issue. Oh, there was an issue, but it has been fixed. So we are going to be looking at leverage long positions on the daily close with a take profit target zone of 9,966 to 10,653.57 based on current price metrics. We'll see if we get any kind of sort of pullback between now and the daily close, or if we just keep pushing. Again, a little bit of a pullback right now over the last 30 minutes or so. Nothing too drastic, though. Nothing too drastic. Again, this remains bullish as long as we are closing strongly above the baseline. We are in a clear trade zone above 94.70. Closing back within 94.70 would put us in a potential no trade zone. Of course, you'd have to use your own discretion with that. If we're in the no trade zone, I don't trade in my no trade zone. But if you want to be overly aggressive, again, no trading in the no trade zone. But again, if you want to be aggressive, I know it's going to be hard to not take long positions on this. Feel sorry. Unfortunately, individuals that attempted to short the market breakdown last night, although I do not think they would have been incorrect in their attempts at the trade, simply had a losing trade. And this is something that's very important to understand and consider, because I know of some individuals. In fact, a friend of mine that I used to trade with, he called me last night about 2 hours before I went to bed and told me that he thought there was a really good shorting opportunity on BCH. And clearly it would be easy if you were kind of an arrogant or undisciplined trader to look back and want to, laugh at that and say, you suck, you don't know what you're doing. You never know a priori whether the market's going to move in your favor or not on any individual trade. I saw the validity of the potential short setup, especially with my own system alerting me that price was closing below the baseline. However, Bitcoin, and we're all here for the volatility, Bitcoin does have the ability to put in these big corrections, these big rejections, and invalidate sentiment and bias to the upside. So, and again, we are still macro bullish. We never lost that macro bullishness. And of course, the weekly, if we go look at the weekly has been quite fantastic for a while. We'll throw on auto mode here, and we're actually going to switch this to 30. Actually going to switch this to 30. All right. And this looks very, very good, right? Again, we talked about this when we got the initial signal back here in January. The first week of January was the really macro bullish signal. And again, the market does give, because 2 candles later, you would have gotten a reentry signal, and you could have been swing long from the close of 85.95 on the weekly time frame. The first and only continuation signal that we've gotten with price above the weekly baseline. So weekly take profit targets are currently from 10,660 to 12,741 if you're swinging on the weekly time frame here, with invalidation at 8,433. That invalidation level is up from last week. Last week, we were roughly around 8,059 was long invalidation during last week. So back down to the daily time frame, we will be signaling for long positions today, again with the noted take profit target zone. The Wadatar explosion, rising explosion level, and green column is a strong continuation signal, and just beautiful price action, man. Beautiful price action. We'll go down, and we're actually going to look at the volume profile and VPSV to kind of go over exactly what we saw last night and what we looked at to flip our position. One thing that I did want to point out, and I wasn't actually really expecting this, but over here on the that's interesting. It shouldn't be doing that. Is it different on the ByBit chart? Yeah, it is slightly different on the ByBit chart because of the lack of price data. Interestingly enough, I did just want to point this out. Actually, at the daily close yesterday on the 12-hour time frame over here on the ByBit chart, we did get a bottom feeder buy signal, which I thought was quite interesting. Again, bottom feeder is not optimized for the 12-hour time frame. It's optimized specifically for the daily. It is there to catch significant daily bottoms. But I just thought that was interesting. Now, obviously, I didn't get as good an entry on this position right here. 92.62 is where I actually exited my short that I put on from 93.31. I, of course, took half profit down at 90.95. And then I exited that. I unhedged and I went leverage long at 92.62 last night. So overall, again, great swing to the upside. We already took some profit off at 9,400. The rest of our position is riding. We do have some resting limit orders further down to add to this position on a dip. But I just thought that was interesting. I wanted to showcase that, being as we went over the bottom feeder information yesterday, and I worked with the senior analyst Alex last night for about 2 hours on getting the script done. All the code and calculation is done. We're just working on the user interface. So what I'd like to do is get rid of the current way that we're displaying TP and SL. This is just for the alpha version, and then for the beta that we actually release, which should be very soon here, it'll actually display your stop loss and take profits like I display Quadriga over here. So anyways, let's get rid of that. Just something fun to show off for. You got the exit signal on the 12-hour at 6 o'clock this morning. You are getting a 12-hour long signal currently as well. So both of those signals will be coming in at the daily close. 4 hour did you pretty well over here as well. 4 hours been quite good, at least with this particular setup, this implementation of breaking Bitcoin. And again, many of the traders in the group are already going to be able to access many of these just by using the baseline indicator that we've published. But yes, the 4 hour did flip long on this candle right here with golden dot continuation, which was a nice signal. And you had rising Wadatar explosion level on the very next candle, as well as the Minx trending long signal. So again, aggressive entry right over here at 4 o'clock a.m. UTC time. And then right here at 8 o'clock a.m. UTC time, you got the full confirmation entry. You would have already hit... two of three take profits if you're doing 1, 2, 3. If you're doing 50-50, then you've already hit one take profit and you're holding the rest, obviously, with your stop loss at break even. And it seems like, yes, if we do close where we're going to be closing now, you'd be setting on a trailing stop loss. And you'd be setting on a trailing stop loss from 94.90. So for those of you who caught this trade on the 4 hour time frame, that's probably going to be your best management system currently. If we close the 4 hour roughly where we are right now, if we close the 4 hour candle above 96.54 for those who entered on this 4 hour candle, I would set a trailing stop loss at 94.89. For those who took the aggressive entry here, they really should have set their trailing stop loss here. That's fine. You guys can still set your trailing stop loss at 94.90. The value shouldn't change. The value should still be the same. And then you don't really need to do anything with your trade. All right, getting ready for Quadriga here for a little bit. Let's just take a second to admire this. Still holding, entered into 3 USDT long trades last night as well as still holding my Bitcoin, or excuse me, my Litecoin position, which is now up more than ever before. Again, Litecoin, in my opinion, really overperforming the market today. Although BCH is nothing to sneeze at. BCH is nothing to sneeze at with its performance. So again, congratulations out there to the individuals that caught the maneuver, that caught the movement. Give you guys the yippee, the cheer sign. I really like that thing. I really quite like that thing. And with that being said, let's go down to the lower time frames. And I do want to look at the actual maneuver that brought this in. I wonder if... Seems like it doesn't want to show my lines. That's okay, we'll just redo them. So here on VPVR, we're going to disable point of control here. And then we'll bring that back here shortly. But we'll just bring this up. Okay, so here we are. We can actually take VPVR and VPSV off here is what we can do. And I just want to kind of explain exactly what we were looking at last night. We were actually watching the 30-minute time frame. And I laid this out to the premium members, and I laid this out to myself. This is a fairly classic example of a flip. And again, discretionary rules-based trading, not trend following indicator-based trading. But we have our previous level of demand, which we saw being tested at 92.30. 92.30 over and over again. We can see that longs were rewarded for buying here once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times for a scalp opportunity. But the other 5 opportunities were good. Often, obviously, as you guys know who are regular viewers of this channel, the more times that you test a level of supply or demand, the weaker it will become, and the market looks to break through and grab the liquidity on the other side of that. We ended up breaking through that level clearly, obviously here. We ended up forming a lower high, and this is what had concerned me. So this is what I was initially looking at with that kind of bearish bias, not macro bearish bias, but meso bearish bias. Looking for a swing short over the next few days and kind of a more expansive correction down to like 8,800, 8,600. That was my plan last night at the daily close because we saw this retest of previous support, previous demand. We saw the sell-off, and I was expecting to form continued lower highs, and I was expecting to form a lower low. And forming that lower low, if we would have taken this lower low out after that initial breakdown of the range, then I'm sure we would be having a very different conversation right now, and price would be, instead of at 9,600, price would likely be at 8,600 with this kind of volatility that we've seen come in from Bitcoin. But that did not happen. And I was watching this before I went to bed. I had drawn this exact same line on my chart, and I had set an alert. And what happened on the 30-minute time frame, we ended up closing strongly above. I had time transformation on my chart. Time transformation tells you when there is unnatural volume. You can also just use a volume indicator, just using the regular volume indicator, but time transformation is specific in its function and what it watches for. And as I talk about, not only in the time transformation video, but in the horizontal support and resistance video, and what I'll tell you guys right now is that when you're looking for whether or not something is a legitimate breakout or whether something is a failure, whether something, people get this, people really get this penchant that they want to sell the tops of markets. And so I think that, honestly, that Bitcoin has trading in general, but Bitcoin specifically, affects people kind of in a negative psychological way sometimes if they don't take the time to build a serious trading system. This is just from my experience with talking with lots of people who trade Bitcoin, who don't take the time to build a strategy and quantify the things that they're looking at. So if you're looking for, if you have a level of resistance on your chart, if you have a level of support on your chart, and you have this plan that, well, if price breaks this level, I'm going to trade in that direction. Okay, that sounds great. This is very similar to the order walls kind of concept that I talked about on the 5-minute chart when you're looking at the tensor charts, when you're looking at where buy and sell walls are in the order books. You need to wait for confirmation. You need to wait for candle closure. If you get a nice, strong candle close above your meme level of resistance, then that is going to be a higher probability that you can go there. Most people just see price break above their resistance level, and then they will enter into a trade. Again, there are a few things that you can add for confirmation. Number 1 is just waiting for candle close. That's going to be aggressive. Number 2 is going to be BPC break, pullback, continuation, which is actually almost, textbook perfect what we see right here. We see price close above, it consolidates for just about, just about an hour, pulls back again to that level, holds it, and closes above. Again, there is that. So that is looking for a BPC, break, pullback, continuation on a breakout trade of a horizontal level of resistance. And then really the trigger there, the last level of conservatism that you can have is you mark, after you have the breakout, you mark the high. And when price pulls back, you wait for it to close above that level. That's really the last conservative level. So we've kind of walked through a few different levels of aggression and conservatism here and taking a breakout type style trade, right? So that is one. The other thing that we have here as well, we're going to move this line slightly, and we're going to move this line down here to this high right here. And why is that? Because there's another type of setup here that I've talked about before, that I talk about, called a swing failure pattern. And a swing failure pattern is when price fails to make a lower low, and fails to make a lower low, or fails to make a higher high. All right. And as we can see here, Bitcoin forms a low here, and then it fails to make a lower low. And the swing failure pattern trade can be taken once we close above the high that was formed off the initial swing low. So as you guys can see, we formed a low. We came up here and formed a high, i.e. resistance. Price pulls back and fails to make a lower low. It makes a higher low. And then the confirmation comes on this candle right here that I just referenced with the other line when we actually close above that level, right? Now, again, you can combine that with the breakout strategy because you kind of have an important line right there. So you could aggressively enter here and then also re-add on the pullback, or again, as I said, waiting for price to actually close above that level and then entering on this candle close. Either way that you decided to do this with this type of setup, you would have done quite well on the trade. You know, there's another portion here, and just kind of being comical, but I think that it's possible that Bitcoin was watching the Tesla chart yesterday and said, "You ain't got nothing on me. Let me show you something." And Bitcoin charging off to the gates. Currently trading at 97.58, trying to make new higher highs for the day. All right, so let's take the lines off the chart. So it was this movement right here that invalidated my short setups and caused me to flip. I aggressively bought the close above. Again, I ended up buying, my entry was 92.62. My entry was 92.62. All right. Now, I want to bring back the volume profile in VPVR, and I want to talk about what I am still watching for right here. It seems that it's not going to happen. So several hours ago, I did set some resting limit orders down at 93.40, basically looking for a retest of the point of control of the range that we had broken back into. So kind of a reestablishment of that. We didn't quite dip that low. We went down to 94.10, wasn't to be. Looks like we will likely not get filled at 93.40. And again, if price were to fall all the way currently from 9,800 to 93.40, I would likely not add at this point in time and wait for the momentum continuation, right? There's a difference when there's kind of a difference here at looking for good retests, re-adds. So overall, price in a very good area, longs in a very good position. I do recommend, and it doesn't matter if price runs up another $10,000. I do recommend at this point in time that those who entered on the lower time frames on this setup that I talked about specifically with the group, you guys definitely want to have some of your profits scaled off the table. We are in a very good profit taking area. In fact, we're almost to my take profit target, which I'll show you guys here in just a second. I'll show you guys right now. For this, we're going to need the 4-hour chart. And hopefully we can get... There we go. And we are almost there. Some might argue that we are there. But just looking at the volume profile right here, looking for a low volume node for price to go into, I mean, we are basically right there. 98.14, I believe it was. Let me actually... 98.17. 98.17. So let's see if we can get another $100 movement out of Bitcoin to kind of fill that gap, that inefficiency. Other than that, we don't really start to see any kind of significant resistance up until about 10,100, 10,500, looking at volume profile. Breaking and distancing from that, again, 4-hour PTP already has us trending long. The daily will have us trending long on tonight's daily close. It would be opportune. It would be opportune if we could see if we could see a pullback to get this doesn't really matter. You don't really care about pullbacks when you're trading PTP. But if we can get price a little bit closer to 9,600. That would be more optimum for the PTP entry. But on the daily, we're not overextended at all. I don't really think there's a huge danger of that. Obviously, the lower time frames are quite overextended, but that's totally fine. The daily, on the other hand, looks quite healthy. We're going to be closing within range of the qualifier and the baseline. Everything looks very, very good. Nice, good, powerful re-entry signal from Wadatar explosion. And listen, guys, when I'm bullish, I'm going to look for opportunities to enter long. So price looks good. With that being said, let's take a look over at Ethereum. We'll stick to the Coinbase chart. Now, Ethereum, as I said yesterday, was giving us a continuation dot. We never lost the bullish trend on Ethereum. Ethereum holding its own, holding its water better than Bitcoin, as Bitcoin kind of drooped down for about 3 or 4 days. Ethereum, on the other hand, did give us the golden dot continuation. I talked about Ethereum margin does not need to be hedged. Ethereum was giving a valid golden dot continuation signal yesterday. Not a trade that I took. Neither did I take XRP. I reduced risk on my long trade several days ago and then re-entered into 3 new USDT positions today. IOTX was one of those, which I was fortunate enough to have pop off overnight. I've already taken 50% profit, and I am allowing that trade to run. Similar to the other position. So again, February shaping up to be another January, guys. Again, I'm quite happy. The guys in the group are quite happy. We're really leveraging this opportunity, market's good to us, man. The market is good to us today. Ethereum trading at 203.53. We do not have valid continuation. Price is bullish above 184.61. That is kind of the magic number right here. That is the continuation number, up from 182, I do believe, yesterday. Up from 182.60 yesterday, which is where we had continuation, which is where our continuation filter was at yesterday. So pullbacks today is not going to be signaling for a continuation. Ethereum, on the other hand, is a little bit overextended in contrast to Bitcoin. So I think entry here is risky to the upside. Better to stick with the market that is signaling the valid signal, which is going to be over there on Bitcoin. Pullbacks closer to 185.68 are going to be more optimum for a reentry here on Ethereum. Looking at Litecoin, my love, my one and only, still long on Litecoin, been long on Litecoin for forever. I'm not using the daily time frame. I talked about this yesterday, I believe, on the stream about how long I'm holding my Litecoin position. Again, I'm holding my Litecoin position until I get 100% profit on it. So I positioned 4% of my account into the trade, and I will exit when that is 8% of my account. So, or until you guys understand what I mean. Obviously, you have to account for your equity growth as a profitable trader, but right. So. But I could make the conditions more stringent if I wanted to do that. But anyways, so that's my metrics. Really, I'm utilizing the weekly time frame. I will not ignore an exit signal on the weekly time frame from Litecoin here. But let's see here. Now, Litecoin, on the other hand, we did get an exit signal for our longs on yesterday's candle. And it's always kind of this interesting, it's always kind of interesting when we get an exit signal on a continuation, on a candle that is qualifying for a continuation, right? So generally we want to wait for a continuation. So Litecoin, I don't think that we are as overextended here on Ethereum. We are actually closing a water column back above a rising explosion level instead of staying above the explosion level. So that is actually going to be a valid continuation signal. Of course, you can also wait for Minx to give you the cross up as well. Neither is happening here. So I'm not going to recommend re-entering Litecoin long at this point in time, but I'm not going to say that you're wrong for doing it. If you do it though, I'm going to use half risk or recommend that you use half risk. For me, I'll just hold my Litecoin position open. And finally, our last tradable asset on ByBit is going to be EOS. And yes, we're using the Coinbase chart, but stick with me here, guys. Stick with me. Over here on Coinbase, rising explosion level. This is a continuation signal potentially. We can see that Minx is going to be crossing above the zero line right here. Or excuse me. Minx is going to be giving a continuation signal, crossing above the noise line, above the zero line, which is a continuation signal. Wadatar explosion also had fallen off in momentum. However, the rising level had started, the explosion level had started rising, and we are printing a green column above that. Now, also, and perhaps more importantly, we were in the no trade zone, and now we are closing strongly above that with systems firing. So again, EOS does look good. As you guys know, I've been talking quite favorably about EOS for the last week or so, and I'm kind of excited for this opportunity to re-enter on a continuation. So re-entries on EOS at this point in time, looking at take profits between 477 and 534, with current long invalidation at $4.11 is going to be long invalidation at this point in time. It's actually a little bit higher than that. If we close below 4,279, we'll actually be invalidated, but that's where our actual continuation and validation line is. So luckily enough, we have the baseline to keep us, to help us out a little bit more. So overall, things look good. Big shout outs to the individuals that caught these movements. If you did not catch these movements, Bitcoin is going to be signaling a good signal on today's daily close. EOS as well, however, not as powerful as the Bitcoin signal, because Bitcoin is actually going to be the best continuation signal, in my opinion. Not even in my opinion, objectively from the system. And I always feel more confident entering into Bitcoin if it is overextended, because I know that it tends to run, rather than other coins which are subject to the BTC USD correlation. All right, taking a look at the broader market as well here in cryptocurrency. Well, I mean, you do the math, guys. Hedera hash graph up 22.2%. SNT, DGD, BCH, BSV, LSK, XTZ. I mean, literally everything in their mother is pumping except for Ion, Icon Made, and Bitcoin, things that are already put in their market cycles, and they are on the way to the downside. Zcash up 13.2% as well. Big hurrah! I know that two of our analysts were long on Zcash as well. So hurrahs to them as well. Let's see. Okay. Basically pick whatever coin you want. The market's pumping. It's a good day to be in crypto, guys. Looking at Bitcoin. Bitcoin pairings. Basically the same performance. We have a lot of stuff that is outperforming Bitcoin at this point in time, with the exceptions of Engine Coin, Ches. These were on the decline yesterday. Ion, Icon, Made Safe, and Bitcoin as well. Again, those are already put in their market cycles, and they are on the way to the downside. I talked about Icon specifically yesterday. I said, take profit. Looking over here on the Tensor charts, you guys can see that they have tried to basically sell this the entire way up. Now we are kind of getting our first... I would say significant type of movement. So this is actually now the time, in my opinion, to be watching to see if we do get, again, I know that people are not going to be able to resist themselves from shorting what they think is going to be a parabolic top on Bitcoin. I don't recommend shorting parabolic tops, especially on Bitcoin. But this is potentially an opportunity where you can see that price has been, we can see that this wall went down briefly. It moved itself up. We did end up getting some pretty significant selling from this area. We did get a significant sell from this area. And if you are being aggressive with your take profit, not a bad opportunity with the first sign of kind of strong selling coming in there. Don't really see anything to really support that. But again, it is when there are no more willing buyers when the market begins moving down. And then you see sellers step in to accelerate that process to the downside. So again, not a bad profit taking opportunity on Bitcoin if you have not already. At least secured some profit. Okay. Let's take a look over at Tesla, guys. Tesla on the daily. You know, it's really funny. We were looking around yesterday, and I was looking at $900 puts on Tesla, and I did not take those $900 puts. But gosh, I wish that I had. Gosh, I wish that I had taken those $900 puts on Tesla. But it's okay. It's okay. Tesla at $722.91. Pretty dramatic pullback after yesterday's daily close. Again, this is traditional market, so we can see some traditional candlestick analysis working very well here. Again, this currently what's shaping up to be a shooting star pattern with two gaps to the upside, so almost an island pattern. And what to say, man? What to say? What a run up on Tesla. What's interestingly enough is we are about to figure out if things are going to get ugly or not for Tesla, because we have our golden dot continuation at 720.70, and price is currently trading at 726.43. All right, 726.43. Now, if we close below 720.70, then we are in a no trade zone, and the only thing on the table is going to be potentially looking for a reversal baseline bounce around 631. Barring that, we're going to be in a no trade zone. However, if we do close right here, we do have some valid continuation. However, I do have to look at the discretionary factors. You know, how badly do the Moon Boys want it compared to who is not going to take advantage of that selling opportunity on Tesla? So we do see here that Minx went overbought. We have a parabolic candle on WADA in conjunction with the Doji, but I'm just going to call this what it is, which is a gravestone. In conjunction with that candle, with minks in overbought territory on traditional markets, minks is really good at calling these, especially when we go parabolically above. I would not be aggressively re-entering Tesla at this point in time. I am definitely going to let the market sellers come in and see how far they want to push this down. And boom, there we go. We just wiped out the golden dot continuation. Now it is above us. Now we actually need to rally and get above 828 before we can go long again. So that makes things simple. No trade zone on Tesla. No trade zone on Tesla, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that the Tesla Moon boys in the audience took profit where it was warranted. And give you guys an update on GE. I know that individuals were talking about this. GE's looking good. We did have continuation over here. No exit signal, and so far price is still quite good. All right, we talked roughly, I think, what was it? I think, Wendy, we talked about reentries, I think at $12. Reentries at $12. I can't believe if I said $12 or $12.25. Either way. Haven't quite dipped down to the full $12 yet. We did get down to $12.25, obviously, and I hope the position is working well for you. With that being said, we've got a lot to cover in today's news segment. That was today's analysis. Let me know how you guys are doing. Let me know what trades you guys are in. Did you guys get it? Are you guys in underwater shorts? And overall, how do you guys feel about the market? Is it a good time to take profit? What are you guys thinking? Because I always like to see how much the viewers are learning, what positions they're in, and what they're up to. Before we get into today's Crypto Currently segment, I want to thank today's crypto comment giveaway sponsor, Spectre Security Coin. Security is very, very, very important to me. And if you guys need to know that your security is on point, please go ask my friends over at Spectre Security. They'll be happy to sit down with you and guide you through, do a consultation, make sure you're doing best practice if it's concerning cryptocurrency, or if it's concerning your business, or if it's concerning your company. There is a link down in the description. My friends will take care of you. Now, I want to thank them for sponsoring today's giveaway of 8,000 XSPC. Now, I'm not going to lie. For some reason, YouTube is not letting me grab comments. So we'll try, but I think it's going to be an embarrassment. And who is this guy? There we go. Hey, it totally worked. We're going to randomly pick a winner. 9 potential winners. And it was Tomas Vivaldi. He says, nice video as always, Justin. I am really glad to have found this channel a few months ago. Most of the guys here on YouTube cannot stop spilling B stuff. So it is refreshing having you as a professional trader to inspire and guide us. Thank you, my friend. I highly appreciate that. That was a big inspiration for us starting the channel in the first place. People still ask me, why do I spend an hour of my day doing the show every day? I love doing it. I love talking to you guys. I love the community we formed. I've met some of the coolest people, and I actually get to help people and share my guidance and wisdom. So thank you, my friend. Get a hold of me in the Discord, and I will gladly tip you some crypto, my friend. Link to the Discord is in the description. Of course, you know that. All right. With that being said, I want to get into today's Crypto Currently episode. Let's go. All right. Now, today's story is going to be on the 500. That's a lot of zeros. We've got, is that 12 zeros? That's 13 zeros. Baby. $50 billion asset manager saying Bitcoin adoption accelerating, dominant cryptocurrency on the path to rival gold. Now, for those of you who are unaware of VanEck, they are the New York-based exchange-traded fund provider, and they have $50 billion in assets under their management. And they have just released their latest report reviewing their forecast on the leading cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. Now, the VanEck report describes Bitcoin as being on the path to becoming digital gold, featuring a number of use cases where Bitcoin may have the advantages as store of value over traditional hedging assets like gold and other precious metals. Now, according to the researchers at VanEck, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency technology in general outperform gold in several key areas, including portability, divisibility, transactability, and of course, programmability. The report also highlights the accelerating adoption of Bitcoin, noting its daily liquidity of more than 1.75 billion, as well as the rising availability of mainstream means to gain exposure to the leading crypto through platforms such as Robinhood, eToro, TD Ameritrade, and the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Vanek also describes how even a small allocation of one's portfolio to Bitcoin may dramatically improve the portfolio's performance, looking very favorably on Bitcoin's risk and return profile from 2012 to the end of 2019. Quote, Bitcoin may enhance the risk and return reward profile of institutional investment portfolios. A small allocation to Bitcoin significantly enhanced the cumulative return of a 60% equity and 40% bonds portfolio allocation mix, while only minimally impacting its volatility. Take that, Bitcoin's too volatile to invest in, naysayers. Now, the VanEck report hammers on the point of scarcity and how its main factor that will attract interest from investors over the coming bull cycles is that. As far as price predictions, the report does mention Bitcoin's stock to flow ratio, which we've gone over on the show before. It is a formula dividing the total supply of an asset by the amount produced per year. Now, VanEck claims based on their readings of this stock to flow chart, it suggests to them the price of Bitcoin could rise to about $80,000 per unit by 2021. That's $80,000 per Bitcoin. It's about a 10x from where we are currently. And the VanEck report does caution its readers, however, despite the potential upside to investing in Bitcoin, they do warn of a number of factors that could seriously harm Bitcoin's otherwise positive forecast. These risks include Bitcoin's extreme volatility and price fluctuations, the threat of cybercrime and exchange hacks upsetting the ecosystem, as well as the more remote chance that developments from the world of quantum computing could potentially expose vulnerabilities in Bitcoin's encryption scheme in the coming years. So, however you fall on the issue of how valid those threats are or how concerned you are with those, it's really, I don't know. It's good news. It's good news. It's good news to begin seeing more mainstream recommendation of holding Bitcoin. Now, obviously, VanEck has a vested interest in this with the ETF. However, I digress. We know all these facts to be true. And it's just interesting as somebody who's been in the space since 2016, having these conversations back in 2016 about these things, about how Bitcoin will be digital gold and it will be accepted by mainstream finance. And, you know, everybody telling us that we're crazy back then. Heck, for the most part, still telling us we're crazy now. But we're not. Again, the world belongs to those who see the future trends. And just by being on this channel, you are one of those people. Now, the controversy, ladies and gentlemen. We'll put a link to the Twitter thread in the description after the video, but hot on the heels of the VanEck report, hailing Bitcoin's future prospects as an emerging asset set to upset gold as a store of value in the 21st century is this thread. Now, highlighted within, this is the actual Twitter thread. Now, News BTC actually put out an article, and within that article, it highlighted these comments made by Kraken's business development director, Dan Held. And he believes that Bitcoin's creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, always viewed his brainchild as a store of value, despite the popular belief that it was meant to be digital cash or a microtransactional medium. In this series of Twitter posts, he outlined the clues left behind in Nakamoto's forum posts, as well as the Bitcoin white paper itself, suggesting the mysterious creator of the world's leading digital asset preferred to think of his creation as digital gold rather than merely an improved version of the Visa payments network. Now, based on data suggesting that Bitcoin is largely being hoarded and held long term, it could be said the market is clearly in favor of Bitcoin as a store of value over a payment medium. However, there are many in the space that believe Satoshi Nakamoto intended Bitcoin as a payments network, possibly capable of rivaling the likes of payment processing giants like Visa. This has been a contentious topic in the Bitcoin community in recent years and was at the heart of the scaling conflict that saw Bitcoin fork between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. Now, one of the leading figures advocating this point of view was and is Craig Wright. He claims that he is in fact the Satoshi Nakamoto who created Bitcoin a decade ago before going into hiding when he became disenchanted by the libertarian and anti-government minded community that embraced Bitcoin in the early days. He claims that he has since returned from anonymity in order to restore Bitcoin to its creator's vision as a digital cash capable of handling a near limitless amount of transactions. Now, according to Wright, he never intended Bitcoin to serve as a store of value. Instead, his vision is of vast data centers supporting a blockchain with unlimited transaction capacity. Now, if the operational demands of such facilities meant that only a few could exist as centralized entities, so be it, he says. Now, among those who refute this version of Bitcoin's history is Kraken director Dan Held. And in his Twitter thread, he's highlighted several instances of Nakamoto's work wherein the creator's real motives are revealed. Held accuses the big block community of cherry-picking sentences from the white paper. He suggests that the majority of Nakamoto's work pointed toward Bitcoin's use as a digital gold. Held notes that libertarian thought throughout Nakamoto's work, examples include a clear distrust of central banking and references to the project as an effort to gain a new territory of freedom. Nakamoto also refers to gold as a collectible or commodity. Furthermore, the notion of scarcity is frequently mentioned throughout his correspondence. In this sense, Bitcoin's more typical of a precious metal. Instead of the supply changing to keep the value the same, the supply is predetermined and the value changes. As the number of users grow, the value per coin increases. Direct quote from Nakamoto. Finally, Held states that even the use of the word cash in the white paper's title is commonly misunderstood and doesn't mean it is primarily a payment system. According to Held, because Bitcoin came out of the cypherpunk community, which made several earlier attempts at digital money, their use of the word cash was fundamentally different from the way many understand and read it today. Let's see here. Yeah, saying cash represents a pseudonymous push payment in contrast to a credit-based system. Other cypherpunks had used the word cash in their white papers to reflect that functionality. In the end, we have to recognize that Satoshi was just one man, however, and with Bitcoin out in the wild and in the hands of the community and the world at large, what its creator intended or did not intend with its creation is no longer relevant. Bitcoin, since its release, has become a store of value, and an extremely secure one at that, with a very robust network. And this has formed what many consider a very strong base layer on which to build future success on. The Lightning Network, for instance, is a fast payment layer which is emerging, and various other layers will emerge to interoperate with Bitcoin in the future. The existing world of payment processing is entering the ring as well with traditional financial institutions, not to mention apps like Square Cash App and the coming backed mobile app, all aiming to solve some of Bitcoin's existing shortcomings as a transactional medium. But at the end of the day, where you fall on this argument rests with you. And unfortunately, I do not see this argument going away anytime soon, so it seems like we may just have to agree to disagree. So please let me know your comments in the section below. Big blocks, medium of exchange, Bitcoin, store of value. What narrative makes most sense? And I'd also ask you, what narrative makes number go up more? Right? What narrative are financial institutions interested in? Are we going to have Bitcoin replace Visa? Or are we going to build payment solutions on top of Bitcoin as a settlement layer? Very interesting thread to read in Saifedean Ammous's book, if you guys have not already. Bitcoin is primarily valuable as a settlement layer. All right. With that being said, I think we're going to get over into today's Q&A section where we answer your questions. We are on the 30-minute time frame. Did anybody take any profit? All right. First thing I'm going to do, of course, is open up the DLive chest. And distribute these rewards. And we got a nice distribution net today. We've got Wendy2 bringing home 17 lemons, Eth1, Sanic 2 Fest, Midwest Attempts, and Mr. Squeaky Tadpole. Congratulations, my friends. Hopefully you guys are doing awesome today. Wayne Art would like me to look at ZEC USD. Let's look at it on Bitfinex. Let's see here. We did get an exit. So, what's very interesting about ZEC is very similar to Ethereum. Look at this close yesterday. This was actually a valid continuation, right? Nice rising explosion level. Today's daily candle is going to represent a potential reentry signal if you were using Wadatar explosion. For me, I like to wait for Minx to give me the crossover. That hasn't occurred yet, all right? Overall, ZEC looks very good. Entering at the top on these markets because it's going to be a continuation signal. Generally going to recommend about half risk if you're looking for the initial reentry. But let's see here. The exit signal was good. I respect the hell out of that exit signal, right? We can see the initial entry for Zcash here, exit signal here, fantastic. We can see the reentry signal here and an exit signal there, fantastic. And have not gotten the reentry signal yet. So using this system, that's a tertiary system, that's an exit system. Let's see here. Something to watch out for might be bearish div, but we'll be watching that. Again, broadly, if we're looking at Zcash, I think that if the Bitcoin signal plays out very well here, then I think we're going to see continued price appreciation from the dollar pairs. There's always the risk that this is a local top, and we do see this being sold into, but I don't think that is shaping up to be likely at this point in time. So is entry a little more aggressive, a little riskier here? Yes, I do think that it is. Would I prefer to see a little bit lower prices to give me a better risk to reward ratio? Yes, the closer I am to my baseline, the more confident I feel entering into a trade. However, that being said, ZEC is good, my friend. ZEC is good. Daily time frame, 12-hour time frame. You did get a nice entry signal on the previous candle. Excuse me, no, 12-hour did not give you the go-ahead. You'd be getting the go-ahead on today's 12-hour candle. It's going to give you some tighter risk management, some tighter metrics there as well. You can see that the 12-hour bottom feeder actually fired over here, had a little bit of drawdown, but you did not hit the stop loss, and you just would have hit your take profit target with the bottom feeder system. So overall, I think ZEC looks good. Let's look at the 4-hour time frame. 4 hours looking a little bit overextended. We just reached into the overbought territory on the 4-hour time frame. So I would like to see price pull back a little bit closer to $67. About a $3 to $4 pullback I'd like to see on Zcash to give me a little bit better entry. But again, don't ignore the daily. Sylvan Newbie, what's going on, my friend? ICXUSDT. Don't really want it. Yeah, this is profit taking time, my friend. Anytime you see something that looks like that, take some profit off the table, or take all your profit off the table. I don't see a reentry opportunity here for ICXUSDT. Looking at the daily metrics, we need to see price closer to 34 cents. That's going to be a significant correction from where we are still. So I do expect this to have follow through. It's another 20% to the downside. So do yourself a favor. We'll see what price looks like when we do come down to 34.20 and look for that next continuation signal. Let's see, taking a look over at, of course, yeah, Minx is quite oversold and we are crossing below in oversold territory. So definitely some strong exit signals coming to us from ICX-USDT. Sanjeev Kumar says, hi, Justin, can you check STXUSD? Get this number to go up higher. I have a vested interest here in Stacks. Long-term vested interest. All right, so Stacks token currently trading at what, about 10 cents, 10.25? Let's see here. Interestingly enough, we had bottom feeder fire a few times here. But we'll just keep it easy and breezy. Coming back up to retest this second high. We are getting valid continuation. And we need to look at STX BTC. Look at STX BTC. Yeah, Bitcoin to the upside, kind of putting a damper on the Bitcoin holdings. So Stacks not outperforming Bitcoin today. But I think that Stacks is good. I'm quite, Stacks is one of those few tokens that I'm bullish on fundamentally. Currently trading at 1,091 sats. We have continuation at 1048, valid continuation signal today. And we did just recently have Minx cross above the zero line. So the last such signal was not successful. We are kind of coming off the bottom here. We've already hit the take profit on the bottom feeder signal. But I think the US, obviously you can take the USDT pairing. This is what I think is going to be cleaner to look at. So if I were you, I would recommend trading the USDT pairing. Again, price currently at about 10.56. And on the USDT pairing, we do not have valid continuation. We actually need to see price closer to that lower range of 10 cents. 0.989 is where we want to see either the reversal baseline bounce pullback, or again, just price closer to that so that we can get continuation confirmation. And we are bullish. We have to assume bullishness right here. But I don't see a trade entry on Stacks right now. The entry on Stacks would have been on this candle right here. Crossing above the zero line, Wadatar explosion. Now here's the thing. If you waited for rising explosion level confirmation, then you are on drawdown right now. And if you have not entered already, then we can objectively say that we can enter on the pullback. That's fine. Other than that, Stacks is a really new token, man. Its price action hasn't really worked its way out. It's got quite a bit of price discovery to do. I like it. As far as the trade goes, a little bit aggressive right here. I'm okay with it. Today's candle is not signaling, but in conjunction with yesterday's rising explosion level signal, we could watch for that pullback. Caprica asks, hey, Justin and the team, do you guys have a manual on how to use your new indicator? If you're referring to the to the bottom feeder, we have not written the manual yet. That is on the to-do list for this week. Avaldis says, hi, how are you? Awesome work. I have a question. What is the best place to invest in gold with dollar cost averaging for a pension? Generally, you're going to do GLD or you're going to do the ETF. So you're probably just one again. If it's your pension, then that's probably going to be managed for you. You just tell them you want to allocate gold. If you want to control it yourself, then I'm going to recommend you can access the ETF through TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, Robinhood, whatever broker that you want to trade on. I'm going to recommend Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab is the best broker to go trade on right now. Not lying. Robinhood's cool, but Charles Schwab. Especially since they just got rid of commissions. So no more $7 in and out, baby. Probably the ETF. Now, if you want to get physical gold, you're going to have to check the rules of whatever agreement that you have for your retirement. then the best way to get physical gold is through a broker, right? I don't recommend going through a bullion dealer. You want to find a good Forex broker who can deliver you, who can negotiate the purchase of physical precious metals and purchase there. You're going to save a lot of money buying through a broker rather than a bullion dealer, in my opinion. All right, we got a couple more requests, guys, but hey, we got a lot to do in the group, guys. I got a lot of mentoring sessions. Today is Wednesday, so we've got the community mentoring session coming up in just an hour, and I need to go get ready for that, guys. So with that being said, we're going to have to cut today's show short. Not short. We did an hour, guys. We went hard. We went strong. Hey, guys, thank you so much for joining me for another exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin. I hope that you guys go on to have a fantastic day. Please trade safely. Use the knowledge that you've learned, not only in this episode, but from your watching of the channel and your involvement with the community to grow as a trader and make the right decisions, especially in this market froth, okay? I am bullish. I expect further upside, but that doesn't mean that you should be buying local tops and selling local bottoms, okay? So just be disciplined, stick to your strategy. If you have not built a strategy, begin backtesting immediately. And also join the Discord. Link is in the description down below. If you guys are interested in our services and your pathway to becoming a consistently profitable trader, check out everything that we do at premium.krakencryptocurrency.com. In addition to that, make sure to follow us on our socials. Hit the thumbs up button if you guys have not already. My team does a fantastic job always of putting the show together for you guys. We do a lot of work and we really appreciate the support. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We will be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time to break down the news, to break down the markets, and give you guys our analysis. Trade safely, everybody, and be excellent. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 12 p.m.